Okay, this is going to be a very long video. I don't intend to edit it at all, just show you all my mistakes and foibles as I go along, but it should be instructive. What we're going to do today is we're going to take JetBeam RRT01 flashlights and emitter swap them. So let me show you what I've already worked on. So here is a standard JetBeam RRT01 with the Nichia 219C. Okay, let's lock the exposure. Okay, cool. And then let's take a look at this one. There we go. This one I did an emitter swap on. So here we go. There's the stock. Here's one. And then here's one. These are both Nichia 219B SW45Ks. So let me see if I can get the exposure a little better. There we go. That's better. So all right. So what we got here is I believe it just is normal binning variance, meaning this one on the left and the one on the right are both 219Bs, and they're both SW45Ks. It's just this one is more neutral. This one's more rosy. It's about a -10 on LSP Evo, that little app that you can get on your phone. And this one is the stock 209C, and it's just very green and objectionable. So these two I've already done. We're going to do this one today. All right, so let's take a look here. So we're going to start out. Let me move the camera a little bit. Boop. Okay. We're going to start out with taking the bezel apart, and we're going to take the optic and the glass and all that out. We're going to get down to the MC PCB, get that thing out, and then we're going to reflow a new emitter. The emitter is going to be, as I said, Nichia SW45K. Got a couple here. Let me get one ready. So get a little care package here. Let's get a little bit of this reel. So they come on a little reel like this, and I'm gonna cut one of these off. So just like so. Okay, cool. All right, so I got that little guy right there. We'll take it out of the package and stick it in there. All right, so let's start disassembling this light. I have to take that out in a little bit here. You know what? I'll get to that in a second. All right, take this off. We don't need the body or the battery right now, so set that aside. Let me move this down a little bit more. Okay, so the first thing is to get this bezel off right here. And let me see, where's my, there we go. Okay, so to get that bezel, it's just literally just kind of screw it counterclockwise. Sometimes you can get it with your fingers, or if you take like a cloth like this rag that I have here. Let's see, get my stuff off here. Okay, so take a rag and just kind of go like this and get your fingers in there, and just, sometimes that works. Depends on who made it at the factory. If that doesn't work, which I don't know if it's working, it doesn't seem like it is. Here's a trick I learned. Take the sole of your shoe. In this case, I have flip-flops on. So just take this bezel, find like part of your sole here, and just cram it on there. And do one of these. See if I got it moving. Not yet. Okay, let's try again. Let's try again. Okay, I think I got it that time. Let's take a look. Yep, sure enough. See that moving? Okay, so it's that easy. So don't mess with pliers. Don't mess with something weird like channel locks or something. Just use the sole of your shoe. Okay, I'll put this cloth back out here. Okay, and then I will undo this bezel. Okay. Now, get that bezel. I like to put everything kind of upside down, just so it's all the same direction. So this came out first, so I'll place that right there. Then there's a piece of glass, and underneath, on this model, underneath it is the O-ring, and then there's the reflector. And then down at the bottom there is that little centering ring or gasket, a little white thing around the emitter. I like to just kind of go like this lightly, see if it'll fall out. Sometimes it falls out lightly, and this one isn't. So I'm just gonna kind of tap it until it comes out. No? Let's try again. There we go. Okay. So some of it came out. The reflector came out. There's the reflector. Now that's a first surface. You do not want to touch the inside of that. Okay. So I'm going to set this upside down so I can get a bunch of dust and hair on it. The glass, let's see which way it came out. If the O-ring's on top, which I think it is, let's see here. Let's see here. Focus. Yeah, the O-ring's on top. So this would be the outside of the glass, to the outside of the world, and that's the inside. So I'm going to place it like that. You might say, well, isn't a bunch of dust going to get on it while we're doing it? Well, I'll blow it off with a squeeze bulb I have right here. This guy. I'll just blow it off before I get ready to install it. I like to put the stuff all kind of the direction it needs to go. Also, arguably, this this rag is going to impart much more lint on it, and I'd rather it on the outside of the glass. Okay, so now we're down to this. We got to get that little centering ring out of there. I'm going to try and just tap it one more time. Okay, so it's not coming out. No problem. So we're going to get some tweezers here. Okay. And let's see here. I'm just going to reach in there. Be careful not to touch the emitter itself. But we're going to reach in there and just grab the end and just pull it out. Okay. So there's a little centering ring. Now, that little centering ring, I know which direction it goes, but if you wanted to keep it consistent, would flip it over and just set it on the back there. Okay. So now we're down to the bare emitter. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a little Phillips here, and we're going to take those two screws out, and then the board will be free. And then all we need to do, once we get the screws out, is desolder the red and the black wires, and the PCB will be free. Okay, so when you pick your bit, I suggest you pick the largest bit that will fit in that screw. Sometimes people pick bits that are smaller than they need, and they end up stripping them. And I wouldn't want to strip these screws because they're very, very, very tiny. I don't know if I have these, so let's do a good job on this. All right, let me move the camera a little bit. Just get it closer here. Okay, and okay. Now what I did was I just loosened both of them just a little at first, and then we'll take one all the way out. So let's see if I can. Okay. Now this happens to be a magnetized screwdriver. So when I lift up, the screw will come with it. Okay, put the screw right over here. Coming off. Oh, it's very magnetized. There we go. And then let's do the other one. Okay. That guy comes out. Now, as I said, this little PCB, it's loose now. If I were to grab it like this, you can see it's a little loose in there. It's hard to tell, but it is. It's held in place a little bit by some thermal compound, but I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, there you go. You can tell it's moving. You can see it moving a little bit. Okay, so let's desolder this. So I'm going to turn on my soldering iron here. I'm going to set it to 700 degrees, actually. 700 degrees Fahrenheit. My Weller is in Fahrenheit. You can do the calculation if you like. When I'm soldering, I like to solder about 600 to 650 Fahrenheit. But when I'm desoldering on this MC PCB, I like to go hotter because the PCB is going to suck up a lot of heat and prevent the solder from flowing and coming off the wires there. Okay, so let's do this. Let's get this ready. All right, got the little guy there. So this is my soldering station right here, my Weller. As I said, I got it set to about 700. Flashing light means that it's at 700, it's at temperature. I've got some flux nearby, solder paste flux, and then I got some solder. And the reason why it's important to have all that is because sometimes it's a pain in the butt to get this thing to reflow off. Oh, I'm using the wrong term. To get the solder to just, to flow and get the wires to lift. So let's see what we can do. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to have to do this. I'm trying to do it on camera and see it myself. So this is going to be a pain in the butt, but we'll see if you can see it well. I'll tell you kind of how it works, and then we'll see if I can do it on camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this thing down on the mat here, and then I'm going to apply my soldering iron tip right to the solder joint on the red here, and then I'm going to lift up that red wire as soon as it starts flowing, and then I'm going to let it cool so that the wire is detached. Notice that the red goes to where it says plus on the PCB right there, and then the black goes to negative. That's really important to be aware of where that is. Okay, so let's see here. Just taking a good look at it. Okay, get my soldering iron. Another little tip I like that helps me kind of get the stuff going is I'm going to clean the tip of my soldering iron and tin it just a little bit. Because if I get a little liquid solder on the tip, that's going to touch the solid solder. So this is flux paste. I'm just going to kind of put that in there. Just again, I'm trying to get rid of oxidation. I got a little bit, I gotta get this here, just do all these. You see it's pretty shiny. That's good. Now I'm gonna take just a little bit of this stuff and get on there. Yeah, there we go. So I got it tinned just a little bit. That's gonna help my cause here. Let's see if we can do this on camera. It's gonna be tricky. Get the tweezers. One pain in the butt this is gonna be. Let's do it. Okay, reach in there. Grab that got that black right there. Okay, now. I'm not even looking at the camera. I don't know what you guys can see. I hope you can see it. Okay. I mean, I could go up higher and get this to... Oh, there it goes. It's melting. As I said, it kind of sinks in, it heat sinks into the board pretty good, so sometimes it takes a bit. There we go. It's starting to get liquid. Okay. Come on, you. And pull, and then let go. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, so that came off. Cool. Let's do the red one. Grab the red one. Here we go. The board's already pretty warm from all that heat I imparted. So this one should go faster. There it goes, it's already moving. Come on, come off. There we go. I think I got it off. Looks like it's off to me. I put this in the holder. Let me double check my... Yep, that one's off. And that one's off. Great, cool. These wires, the jackets on them are pretty thin. So you got to be careful about not piercing the jackets and all that stuff. But now that I got those separate, I can just reach in here like this I'll just grab this board and just with a little twist, pull it right out. There you go, that easy. Now, let me get the exposure right on this. If you can see in there, there's a kind of a white residue in there. That's thermal paste. Some people like to clean it up with a Q-tip. I don't really care because honestly, I'm going to be putting even more paste in there. I like to put some Arctic Silver in there, kind of really get it good. So it doesn't matter to me if that's already there. Just trying to get these leads to be a little more straight for when I go to solder it back together. Doing it off camera, sorry. Just kind of, yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Now, it looks like I dropped up a solder blob in there, so I'll get that. Let me tip it out like that. There we go. That's pretty good. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, how clean it is. You're going to see that this board is going to get kind of charred when we reflow it. And it doesn't really matter how messy it looks because the reflector and the centering gasket is going to go all over it. And so it's going to cover all that stuff up. Okay, so this little MC PCB here is a tiny one. I didn't measure it. I think it's like 10 millimeters or something. It's tiny. I could go get the calipers. Let me go get the calipers real quick. Let's see what we got here. It's a tiny one. Okay. Let's see what we got. Twelve and a half millimeters. There you go. So it's tiny. We are going to now take that little emitter off, which, I mean, if the emitter comes off cleanly, I save it. I don't know why, though, because I'm never going to use it. It's god-awful. It's just really green. But I'll take that emitter off, and let's do that now. Okay, come on over here. Fix the camera. Okay, there we go. Cool. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use that hot plate there, and you could use an electric skillet. You can use lots of things, just something that gets hot. I've got a little thermometer here set to C, and you can see that it's raising temperature now. I put it on 3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little plate here while it's still, like I can still touch it. Put it right there. Let that thing get kind of toasty. And then we're going to pull that little emitter off. Depending on the type of solder they used, it could be easier or harder to pull it off. Last couple times I did this, I had to go higher than I'm going to need to go to reflow it. And while we're waiting for that temperature to rise, I want to talk about, I'm going to use this solder paste right here. If you look at it, it's, let's see here. It's lead, tin lead, tin 63% lead, 37%, and it's called no clean, meaning that you squeeze it on there, the chip goes on there, you don't have to do any cleanup after it's done being reflowed. So, I mean, this brand, I just started using it. It looked fine to me. There's lots of brands. This is just one I got off Amazon. Let's see the temperature here. I think this thing is going to come loose at about, let's see, it's around 80 degrees Celsius. Should come loose around 180 to 200. Okay, now I'm going to go up to 4, but I don't want to go much higher than that because this thing will catch up. It'll go really hot. And what I found is you don't destroy anything by going too hot, but it discolors the MCPCB, the white on it just kind of discolors and it just looks awful. So I'd like to try and avoid that. Again, it's all going to be covered up. Doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to do the best job I can. In the meantime, let's get this guy ready. So this guy right here. This is the oh, I'm sorry, off camera. This is the little emitter. So I'm just gonna get some light on the subject. There we go. Okay. Now, the emitter, we should talk about that, about the way that the direction it sits and everything. So this emitter, if you look at the back of it, it's got these little lines here, right? And so, oops, I'm off the camera. So one of these lines is an anode. One of these lines is the cathode, so like one of these vertical lines. And the one in the middle just kind of holds the emitter there so it doesn't fall off the board. Now, if you flip it over, you'll see, let's see if we can, here, let's do it this way. That's a bit better. Okay. So if you flip over this way, you'll see that there's, on this corner down here, there's a little kind of arrow. Can you see that? Right on this corner over here. There's a little like dot, or a little arrow. That indicates either the cathode or the anode. Now, the reason why I say it indicates either is because it depends on the brand. From memory, I believe that's the cathode for a Nichia 219B, which is what I'm holding. But I was doing an SST Luminous Deep Red the other day, and that was actually the anode for that one. So that's where going to the web and looking it up is super helpful. Okay, hot plate. Go back to here. Hot plate is like 150 degrees or something. Oh, where is it? Come on. There you go. 170 degrees? Okay, let's take a look if I can start pulling it off. Let's see if I can. So I'll grab 2 pairs of tweezers here. Let's see what we can get. So one tweezer, hold it down. Another tweezer, pick it up. Let's see what we can do. Oh, easy peasy. No problem. Now I'm going to go off. Okay, let it cool down while we get our emitter information figured out. Okay, so over to here, let's take a look at my little device here. I just Googled Nichia 219B spec sheet. Here's a spec sheet for 219B. Okay, so somewhere, usually about halfway. Oh, actually, this wasn't halfway, but there's always going to be kind of like a diagram of the way it looks. And it states that that little gray arrow we were looking at is the cathode mark. Okay, so on the back, like I said, there's the this pad in the middle that just kind of holds it to the MC PCB and transfers power, right? See, die heatsink. And these are the 2 electrical contacts. And so according to this side right here, behind it would be the cathode, right? And then on this side over here would be the anode. And also notice that the dome has a little irregular kind of mark right here. So you can see that too if you look very carefully. All right, let's go back over here and do the next step. Now, I like to let this PCB cool a little bit before I add the thermal paste. So let's see if we can do that. So now the hot plate stays hot for a while. I mean, I turned it off before we started looking it up, but it's still like 100 whatever degrees C. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick it up like this. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of blow on it. There's no electronics on or anything, so there's nothing to die of shock. Now there's, you know what else? There's a little bit of, actually maybe I should have done that. There's a little bit of, I'll take this emitter and just stick it on this box over here. There's a little bit of solder still on it. Let's see if I can, it's probably not hot enough to wipe off, but let's see if I can. Just using a wipe. Actually, it is wiping off. Cool. Okay. I want to get rid of some of that solder. because we want to do it fresh. Okay, now when I did that just now, I kind of discolored the little PCB a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but come here. It's hot, so I don't want to touch it. But the PCB is a little grayish now, but that's okay. I'm blowing it on the back. I'm just holding it and blowing it. Okay, let's see here. Let's see if it's still hot to touch. I mean, it's still hot, but I can kind of touch it for a second or so. My understanding on that is if you can touch something for like a second, then you have to take your finger off. It's usually around 60 degrees C. When you can touch it for longer than that, it's around 50. And then when you can touch it comfortably for a while, it's around 40. But around 60, 65, it becomes really hard to touch something for very long. So see how I can like hold my finger on it right now? So it's probably about 40 or so. Let's take a look if I can even get this on here. Oh, see 32. Okay, so anyways, that's just a little tip for you guys. Okay, so I can put it in my hand now. That solder, again, I don't know that it matters that this looks nice because as I said, it's going to be covered up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little alcohol here, a little alcohol in a jar, and just see if I can clean it a little bit. There we go. It's getting a little whiter. I shouldn't matter. This stuff I'm doing just doesn't matter. But whatever. Okay, it looks a little whiter. Looks a little nicer. And just so you know, what I use for electronics is I use this stuff. It's where is it? 99% ISO. So that stuff is good for electronics. All right. So now that we got this thing, and as I said, it's pretty much cleaned of any solder paste on here. It's ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reapply new solder paste. Okay, so I'm going to do it while it's cold. I didn't used to do it this way. I used to just try and do it while I was on the hot plate. Like as soon as I removed the emitter, I would try and just do it all right there, and it works. It works. You can skip the step of having it cool and everything. But I just found that it got kind of messy and that it looked charred and bad. So I just didn't like that. So I'm going to take this stuff and I'm going to put just a little bit of it on there. Well, actually, that's not true. More is better than less. But you don't want to go ham and just put it everywhere. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit. This plunger is hard to squeeze and I don't want it to come out too fast. Come on, you. There we go. You know what, there's a little blip on the end because I haven't used this for about 24 hours. Let me get rid of that little gross stuff. Get just some fresh stuff. There we go. Okay. Try again. Okay, there we go. All right, let's try again. There we go. And then a little line there, a little line there, a little line in the middle, like that. Okay, see what I did there? It doesn't have to be super careful because this stuff really wants to stick in certain rows. It wants to. It's kind of almost feels magnetic. Okay, you'll see once it heats up. So there's that solder paste right there. See if I can get close focus on this. You can get an idea. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy. Now, I'm looking at my board, and this is where I got to take the emitter, which is just set right down here. Okay, here's the emitter. And according to the website, it said that the cathode mark was that little arrow. Okay, so that means this little arrow, I don't know if you can see, it's down the lower right like I had it before. That's the cathode mark. So that means that on this arrow side, the line behind it, so if I flip it over, that line is cathode. So let me flip it over. Hang on. See? It's a good thing I looked. There are lines, right? Okay, so here we go. Lines, right? Where's that little mark? Oh, gosh. Okay, there's the mark, upper right. So if I flip it over, that means that this line on this side over here is the cathode. Now, this is a diode. LEDs are just a type of diode, so they're opposite of like ions in chemistry. So an anode is positive and the cathode is negative. So this side over here, that little line, is going to be negative, and when I rotate it, that's a little cathode mark right there. That's negative, okay? And then on this board here, negative is right there, okay? So right there, you can see negative, and up there is positive. So when I want this sitting on there, I want it sitting in this orientation with the... Oh, I dropped it down. Oh, it looks like it's okay. Whew. I dropped it down on the tissue, on the thing here, and I thought that this stuff was all gone, but it's still there. Okay, so negative, like that, and the little mark upper right-hand corner. Okay, so now let's put these, and don't get those orientations mixed up now that you have it like that, okay? So I'm going to carry them. I'm just going to carry them like this and place them on the hot plate, okay? The hot plate is still pretty toasty. Let's take a look at what the temperature is. Yeah, 63, so don't really want to touch that with my hands. All right, let's see what we can do here. Okay. Oops. Tripod. Okay, now I'm going to take this little guy, stick it right there. Take this little emitter, and I want it to get hot too, so I'll stick it right there, okay? Stick it right next to it. Even though the hot plate's off, get him kind of warmed up, and then I'm going to raise it up. Oh, and look at that. Notice that now that it's warm, that paste is kind of moving around. You can see it's got a big blob now, right? Oh, actually, I don't know if you can see. Here we go. Right? There's a big blob there where it used to be 3 lines. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this guy. Okay, move it forward a little bit. Move that. Okay, I'm going to heat it up, and once it gets to like 100 degrees, I'm just going to take this guy and just plop it on there. And here, hang on, let me get this started. So we are at 60 degrees. Okay, great. So I'm going to go to like 3 here. Okay, take this little emitter, this guy right here, and you know what? I'm going to put it on there now. It'll transfer the heat. I'll just plop it on there. Now notice how it is off to the side. Let me go handheld on this. Do you see how it's like the emitter is not lined up correctly? Okay. Well, once it gets to the right temperature, it'll kind of just suck in. Okay. It's like it wants to be in the right place. So I'll push it over just a little bit to help it. But you'll see that like if it's askew, here's my other tweezers. There they are. Okay, if it's askew, let me make this intentionally askew. Yeah, like that. There we go. Okay, so it's intentionally askew. You can see that it's not really straight. As this thing heats up, once it hits the right temperature for the paste, it'll just go and suck in to where it's supposed to be, okay? Let me put this back on the tripod and get the tripod a little bit better angled for this. Let's see if I can do this. Tricky situation here. You just have to be this far away. There's just no way to get it really closer. Okay, so we're just gonna watch it. That should happen right around 160 to 180 degrees, okay? So you can see on the thermometer about 75. Slowly going higher. I'll go about 3.5. I just know this hot plate. By the way, this hot plate is great for doing this stuff. It's a chemistry hot plate that I got from a lab that was shutting down, and it's on eBay. I got it for $39 shipped. Okay, so it was used. Okay, there we go. We're about 130. And I know it's small, but keep watching that thing. You know, maybe I'll go handheld for this again. I want to get that moment where you see it suck in. Okay, so I'll go handheld here. And I'll keep watching the temperature here. We're about 150. I used to really crank the hot plate. It used to go way higher than I needed to. I don't do that anymore. I let it kind of creep up. I think it's just better for the electronics. Oh, you can see the paste changing. Oh, look, watch it. Ah, yeah, you see that? There you go. That's what I'm talking about, okay? Now, there's kind of like a lot of solder under it, more than we need. We kind of want that thing sitting kind of close to the MC PCB. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of my tweezers here. I'm just going to tap it, and little blobs of solder will come out. Let's see if I can do this on camera. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to go like this and kind of... There we go. I just tapped it. Oh, sorry, did you see those new blobs? Those new blobs came out. Okay, so just do like that. Just like a little tap, a little light tap. I'm not smacking it hard. Now, I want those blobs to come out. So get something non-conductive like a toothpick. We get one that's not so tortured. And sorry about the lack of focus and everything as I'm hand-holding all this. But those little blobs there, we're just going to whisk them away. Okay. And I don't want to leave it next to the emitter die there because, let me just start cooling this down actually. Because, it'll be hard to fit the gasket. Oops. Come here. Chasing you. There we go. See me trying to flick it off? I'm trying to be careful not to knock the... Boop. There we go. Got it off. I'm being careful not to try and knock that emitter off, but I got these little beads off right here. And this is cool. This is ceramic. It'll just roll right off. No problem. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off. Just let it cool. I did a pretty good job. That thing is not too baked. I've actually made these little PCBs turn really dark gray before, just baking the heck out of them. So that's pretty good. All right, let's stick you back on a tripod, and let's start talking about the next step. Okay, so the next step is to get this guy back in the light. Back in the light. Alrighty. Now, obviously I want that thing cool. And the hot plate, this hot plate at least, stays kind of warm for a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till this thing is down to like under 100. And then I'm going to pick it up with the tweezers, kind of hold it in the air, just let it kind of like cool in the air. Once it gets down to like 80 or 70, I will go ahead and blow on it, get it cool enough that I can hold it. So I don't want what we called cold solders. Cold solders is when the solder cools down too quickly and it doesn't make a nice solid joint. Somebody could probably explain it better than I can, but I'm sure it has to do with the way the metal bonds when it's cooling. Remember I said I was going to save that little ugly emitter? Well, here, let's do it. Let me grab this guy. This is the old emitter. Just stick it in there. Boop. And just put it back here. And I got a little collection of ugly emitters that I'm saving. There we go. This is a 6500 Cree in the corner, and then the two Nichia 219Cs. Awful emitters. Okay, let's see how this thing's doing. It's still very hot. Oh no, it's cooling down. Okay, that thing's gonna stay hot for a while, so I am going to rush this for the sake of the video. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Okay, so let me pick this guy up. Okay. Just hold it in the air here. It'll cool down on its own. I'm gonna hold it this way so I don't drop it. By the way, you don't want to do this if the emitter's still, if the solder is soft, the emitter would drop right off. But the fact of the matter is that at 100 degrees, the solder is solid. This solder melts. I got a little spec sheet on it. Melts at 180 degrees C. Let's see if I can target. Wait, there we go. Target this thing. That's not right. That can't be right. I must be missing it. Okay, let me blow on it. Let's see if I can touch it. It's very hot still. Very hot. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I can put my finger on it for a moment. So I'm assuming it's like 150. Let me see if I can measure it. I said 150. I'm sorry. I'm assuming it's 50, is what I mean to say. All right, I'm having trouble picking up this little guy here. So let's see here. What are we at here? Well, I'm able to hold it now. Yeah, it feels okay to me. Okay, so all right, this guy is going to be ready for installation. All we have to do is put some new thermal paste on it and rewire it up inside the flashlight. This guy's still going to be hot for a while. Let's see here. Yeah, still about 90 degrees. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this guy and just flick off these solder bits. There we go. Flick off the solder bits. All right. Let's go back over here and let's get this thing soldered. Okay. Get some light, get the pill. The pill, by the way, is that little brass thing there inside the gray aluminum. Okay, let's get the MCPCB right there. Okay, alrighty. Now remember, you have to get your black to negative and your red to positive. Okay, and this looks pretty clean, pretty good. There's a little bit of, I don't know, residue or something there. Might as well just clean it up really quickly here. So I'll just take this and that residue's tenacious. I might just leave it. Yeah, that residue right there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little residue right there. It's being tenacious, so I just don't care. It is not going to matter in the long haul. Now, what I'm going to do is, these look pretty well tinned, this one and this one. Look like they're already started. I'm going to make sure those are real nice because it's really going to help getting those wires on there. And then once I've tinned them, I'm going to flip it over and apply paste and then get this all ready. So let's put that guy right there. Let's get my soldering iron. And as I said, I'm going to set it to like 600, 650 Fahrenheit this time. I don't need as much heat. I'm also going to take a toothpick over here and I'm going to get a little bit of flux. Sorry, I did that off camera. Got a little flux. Just put on the toothpick here. And then what I'm going to do is, let me get my little magnifying glass so I can see what I'm doing. Put just a little bit right there. I don't want to go too much because when this melts, it goes everywhere. Okay, just a little bit. And then on the other one. What this does, this flux here, is it helps the solder flow and bond to the little metal pad. It's already on the board. Okay. Now it looks like there's already some solder on the board, like a fair amount, so I'm not too worried about it. I mean, I might tin my tip just a little bit. Just a touch. Okay, let's do this on camera. So just a little bit. Did I get anyone on there? Yeah, I did a little bit. Okay. So let's see here. Okay. You know, I want a little more on that one, that pad. I don't want like tons, but I want enough that that wire really wants to sit there. Okay, there we go. And this side looks like it has more. By the way, that sizzling is definitely the flux. Okay, that looks pretty good. That looks better. Okay, now there's a little bit of like soupy flux on there. So I am going to wipe that off before we proceed. I mean, let me see if this is hot. No, it seems okay. It's a little bit warm, but I'm going to wipe that flux off, okay? Wipe this flux off. I mean, there's still plenty of flux on there. Okay, we got two little solder pads that are pre-tinned. Okay, now I'm going to take this guy, take my tweezers, and remember, red to plus, so we're going to take it by the holes here. Okay, like that. And we're just going to get in here like so. Oh, I almost forgot to put the thermal paste on. I was a step ahead of myself. Okay, here's what we're going to use. We're going to use Arctic Silver 5. Okay. And you don't want to put, I mean, you can be liberal with it, but if you put so much on, what happens is when you tighten it down with the screws, it just squishes everywhere and it's a mess. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit and just kind of get it like, that's actually a lot. Actually, I put a little more than I needed. Now, what I like to do is like to get that really nice and even. So I'm going to put the cap onto this thermal paste. Okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of spread it with my finger and get on every bit of that copper. I don't want it to get on the other side of the board. I want it to stay on this side of the board. So as soon as I'm done with this, just sit down for a second. Okay, I'm going to get a tissue. Get it off my fingers. Which, I mean, it never really comes off your fingers until you wash. It's just, it's all in my grooves of my fingerprints. Okay, cool. Okay, and let me get a little bit off the edge there. Not that it matters that it's on the edge. I'm just trying to keep it not so messy. Okay. So let's try this again. So positive and negative. Okay, so positive's over there. So I'll flip this guy around. Flip this guy around like that. Okay, go like that. And then this one. Now I'm just going to lay it right there and grab this little wire and try and work it like that. There we go. Okay, so I got the positive wanting to go to where the positive is. Got the negative going to where the negative wants to go. That's cool. Then I'm going to take this and just kind of center it up a little better. Because these little holes here for the screws. I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in now. Okay. I'm going to go lightly at first. Just like that. Just kind of get it in there. Get the other one. Okay, this one. I'm just going to go till it kind of, I'm just going till it stops basically. I'm not cranking it at all, just till it stops, okay? And as I do that, notice that like there's thermal paste oozing out the sides here because I put too much. This is not a problem, just saying it's what's happening. Okay, now I'm cinching it a little bit more. And I'm going both sides. I just want it nice and even. Just want good thermal contact, okay? All right, good thermal contact. There we go. With that pill, because you want the power. I'm sorry, the heat to leave the board and go into the light, so it can run without burning the emitters up. Okay, so now we just got to resolder these guys back down. All right, so same verse as the first, just reverse order here. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna stay at 650 because I'm soldering. I'm not gonna go 750 or higher. I don't want to bake things. Okay, let's see if I can do this on camera again. Okay. Tin my soldering tip a little bit more. Actually, you know what? Let me just get the old soldering off. Okay, that's better. Let me tin my tip a little more. Good. All right. Let's try this on camera. Here we go. Okay, this is a pain in the butt. All right, hang on one second. I'm going to set my iron down, and I'm just going to pre-bend these a little bit with my fingers or maybe with this. I just don't like the way they're laying. There we go. It's going to make my life a little better. Just kind of getting them, try to lay down, okay? That makes sense. And be careful of that emitter. They're not like the most fragile things in the world, but you just don't want to mess with them because, I mean, that's what all the light comes from. Oh, well, these aren't that fragile because they have a dome. The ones without domes are more fragile. All right, here we go. And you want to hold it there until it cools. Okay. That's good. That one's done. Roll away. Let's do the black one. Here we go. Still have a fair amount of solder on my tip, so I should be good. Okay, and here we go. Away we go. This black one is bent a weird direction. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, now what we're going to do is before we reassemble this, to test it, we are going to take my blunt tweezers and see if they move. No, that's on there. Good. How about this one? That one's on there too. Okay, cool. Now, there's a ton of extra, just debris in here, okay? And you could take a cotton Q-tip and just swab it. I don't really care, to be honest. I'm just going to kind of just blow any particulate matter out of here. And the reason why I don't matter is because none of the stuff on the sides, like, in the barrel here, is going to jump onto the emitter because there's going to be a gasket over it and a reflector. All right, so let's reassemble this thing and see our finished light. Okay, let's do this. Exciting. This thing's gonna live again. All right, okay, let's get that guy. All right, now, first off, before I go to all the trouble of reassembling all these parts here, before I do all that stuff, let's take it, just set it on the body, see if it lights up, huh? Here we go. Okay, so just made sure it was off. Okay, screwed on. Here we go. Okay, and then rotate it. There we go. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. It's perfect. It's awesome. Okay, so now we can reassemble this guy, and then we'll have a working light. So let me show you how that works, which is actually pretty easy. And you guys probably don't even need this instruction, but we'll do it for the sake of completeness. All right, here we go. So what I like to do is, now I just use these for thermal paste, so I'm just kind of making sure they're clean. Okay, just kind of clean them off. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy, and take the little gasket, flip it over, and grab it by this little ridge here. There's a little ridge. And then we'll set that down in there. Okay, now it's not perfect. It's off a little to the side and everything. That's okay. It's okay. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to take the tweezers and just move this around a little bit and get the edges close. And you know what? I'm actually just using my finger. So I like to do. I like to feel it and just get that guy right on. There we go. I can tell where it wants to sit. I pushed it back off like a doofus. There we go. Now, because the red wire might be in a slightly different spot. Okay. The red wire needs to get pushed over a little bit. Like it just, the red wire is a little bit pushing on this thing. No big deal. Just like that. Yeah, there we go. And you know what? It also doesn't super matter because even if it's sitting up a little bit, what's going to happen is when that reflector gets dropped onto the gasket, the reflector is going to get pushed down by the bezel and everything. It's going to all just kind of seat into the right spot. What I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of pushing on it. I'm just kind of pushing down. There we go. There we go. It's pretty good. I'm actually spending too much time on this. Okay. Now, I just touched the emitter with my fingers. It's fine. It's a dome. It's no big deal. In fact, if you're worried about it, just turn it back on and just look, and you'll see if there's any specks on it. I mean, turn it at like a low ramp like this, especially on a light like this, and you'll see if there's any like weird black specks or anything. Looks good to me. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do. This is the one that you got to be careful about not touching. You can touch the outside, but you can't touch the aluminum surface. Don't even touch it with cleaning products or anything. And I'm just going to drop this guy straight in there. Sometimes I get it. Here we go. I'm going to drop it straight in there. Sometimes you get on the first go. Nope. I did not get on the first go. It's a little bit off to the side, right? See that? A little off the side. So what I'm going to do is sometimes you can just tap it and it'll like pop into place. Oh, you know what? I'm actually seeing a little tiny speck. I don't know if you can see on camera. There's a little tiny speck on this reflector right there. Now, I'm not touching that because it'll just be way worse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this guy to come out. Come back out. Come on, you. All right, hang on. Come on. You want to come out. You know you do. You know you do. There we go. There we go. So the gasket fell back out. I'm going to show you the proper way to blow that speck out. Let's see if I can find it. And by the way, there it is. It's right there on that side. Now that speck, I don't know if you can see on the camera, there's a little white speck there. The best way to do this is kind of counterintuitive. It seems like you should just like blow right on it. It turns out through the hole out. Yeah, it's gone. Gone. So I'll just do this all the way around. I'm just kind of, it's the best way to do it. Through the hole and out the front. Okay? But never touch those things. That is the worst. As soon as you do, you'll regret it. All right, gasket back on there. Push it back down. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Cool. Now, try and drop it in there one more time. There we go. God, that's what I wanted the first time. That's what I wanted. Okay, so it's on that gasket. And I'm looking around at the reflector. The reflector doesn't seem to have any large... I don't see any kind of specks or anything. Okay, cool. All right. So that gasket's still lined up around the emitter. Reflector's on. Now, on this particular light, it goes gasket. So gasket down, then lens, then bezel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a microfiber cloth and just show you. Okay. This is what I like to do, especially if I think that this lens is dirty, because I don't want dust and stuff on the inside of it. So what I do is I take this guy, peel that off, okay? Take that guy, just lay it in there. Now again, on this light, this goes in next. That's not standard. This is what this JetBeam RRT does. I know that a lot of the Hank lights, it goes glass, then gasket. I'm just using a little plastic tool here just to kind of line this up. Okay. And I'm being careful because the reflector and everything is still kind of in flux. Everything's kind of moving around. So I'm not pushing too hard. I'm just kind of getting it lined up. Now, this guy, let's just pretend it's like really gross. It doesn't look really gross when I look at it. I mean, it's got this guy. I guess it does have a little particulate matter on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a microfiber cloth here, a real soft one. I'm just going to use breath. Okay. I'm just going to kind of go, get it really foggy like that. See that fog? On both sides. And then just wipe in one direction. Oh, sorry, I'm off camera. Wipe in one direction. Okay. And I'm rotating it slightly with my fingers. Okay, I'm going to look at it under the light. Yeah, it looks better. I'm going to do a little more. How I like to do this is I like to start by breath and wipes that are soft, like I'm soft caressing it, and then as I do it more and more, I get harder and harder with it. The reason behind this is the first wipes are going to dislodge any large matter, and then as I keep doing it, I'm getting down to the oils and the other contaminants that are on the lens. But you got to go lightly at first. Oh, that looks really clean now. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there. Easy peasy. And then this guy just goes on the reverse of what it was before. So just back it up the wrong direction first to get the threads lined up. There we go. Okay. And there we go. And this thing on this light, the chrome inside inner bezel should fit pretty level with the outer black. That's what we got. Okay. And I'll just go until my fingers can't do it anymore. I'm not going to bother using the shoe to tighten it because I'm not that hard on my lights. All right, let's see what we got here. There we go. Let's take a look on the wall. Let's see how it looks against the other two I have. All right, let's see here. So, oh, that's rosy. This is a rosy one. Okay, so this one's rosy. Put it right there. I should have touched this first. It's just warm. I figured it was the hot plate, but okay, so that's pretty rosy. This one is kind of neutral. That one's kind of neutral. And then this one I think is rosy. Yeah, that one's rosy too. Okay. So there you go. Emitter swaps. I hope that was instructive. I'm by no means a master of this. I've done electronics, for, last 20 years. But as far as emitter swaps, I just learned how to do that this week. So I literally learned how to do it and then decided to make a video to pass on the information. So I hope it's helpful to you guys. And it's very possible that I'm doing things maybe not quite the right way. But as you can see, proof's in the pudding. Light is done. All right, peace.